Hi there, and welcome to Her Season of Strength, where women over 40 reclaim their bodies, their energy, and their voices without apologies. I'm Kim Duffy, registered dietitian, personal trainer, mom, and your biggest hype woman when it comes to aging like you mean it. This show isn't about chasing skinny or counting wrinkles. It's about building real strength, physical, emotional, and hormonal. Each week, I'll share straight-talking nutrition tips, sustainable fitness strategies, and conversations that help you feel powerful in your skin once again. Menopause isn't an ending, it's only the beginning. This is your season of strength. Hello, and welcome back to Her Season of Strength. I am so happy you are here, and if you are listening on the day that this episode comes out, it is August 27th. And today I want to talk a little bit about kind of an experience that I had. And so I work with a personal trainer. I know I've told you about that because I believe that the accountability is huge. I have no problem working out. I love exercise, and I will consistently do it, 4 times a week, sometimes more. I usually try to get 4 strength days in a week, and then I try to walk most days of the week or get on my Peloton or ride, do the rower or something just to be active. And I have to take my dogs for a walk because she insists on it almost every single day, except when the weather's crappy. But anyway, so working out with my trainer, and it had been 8 weeks since I had started working with her, and she said, "Hey, do you want to, take some pictures and get on the scale and do some measurements and just kind of see what progress had happened, right?" So first of all, I get on the scale, exact same weight that it was 8 weeks before. Okay. Then I start doing measurements, and I've lost like 3 inches around my waist, and I've lost a little bit around my hips, and my legs. My thighs actually grew just a little bit, and my biceps grew a little bit. But I've really been pushing the strength. Right, I've really been doing a lot of lifting and really pushing myself to to build that muscle. And then I took pictures, and I said, and the first thing of what do I say to her is like, "Oh, you know what? The scale didn't change. The scale didn't go down." And she says, "Well, first of all, before even looking at your measurements, I can see that you have lost inches around your waist." I'm like, "Yeah, I did notice that." Right? I think we're the hardest on ourselves. It's so hard for us to actually take compliments and say, "Thank you. I worked hard," and, everything. So, but anyway, that kind of is what I want to talk about today on my show. I just want to talk about the difference in scale weight versus all the other results that we can see and focus on. Because as women, so often we only focus on that stupid number on the scale. And it's just, it can be so misleading, and it can just not tell the full story. And I just really want you to listen into this. So I want you to think about or picture in your head 2 women. They are the same age, same height, same exact weight on the scale. So on paper, they look identical. But if you actually met them, spent a day with them, sat down with their lab work, you would swear they were 2 completely different people. So I want to build on these 2 women. I just want to kind of walk through them piece by piece to show you why that number on the scale, it is one of the least useful pieces of information that you can have about your health. I want to compare body composition. I want to talk about metabolism, disease risk, energy strength, quality of life, all at that exact same body weight on that scale. And then talk a little bit about what matters instead. So, first of all, the scale is only measuring one thing. It is measuring your total mass pulled down by gravity. It can't tell you what that mass is made of, whether it's muscle, fat, bone, water, organs, and it's made of all those things, right? But it can't tell you what percentage. 2 people can hit the identical number using completely different combinations of all of these things. So think about it like you have two suitcases that weigh the exact same. One can be packed with dense books, and one can be packed with light, bulky pillows. They're the same weight, completely different volume, and completely different usefulness. Weight is just that data point. It is not a diagnosis, and it just does not tell that whole story. So let's meet woman A. She has limited muscle mass. She has a higher body fat percentage. Despite having lower muscle, her measurements may actually run smaller in certain places because muscle is denser and it takes up less space than fat, even though it weighs more. Maybe she does little to no regular exercise. Maybe her diet is heavy in processed, low nutrient foods, or maybe she's chronically undereating or underfueling her body, both of which can, tank our metabolism over time. She has a lower resting metabolism, meaning that her body is burning fewer calories just existing. She has more visceral fat, and that's that fat that's wrapped around our organs, which is the kind that is linked to higher risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, certain cancers. She has high cholesterol. She has increased risk for cardiovascular disease. Maybe she has insulin resistance or elevated blood sugars, type 2 diabetes. But this isn't about judgment here. It's just about recognizing some things without the shame around it. So now I want to talk about woman B. Same scale, different story. So she has a higher muscle mass. She has a lower body fat percentage at the exact same weight as woman A. Maybe she's physically active. She trains regularly. She has more strength, more endurance, more stamina just for everyday physical demands like, carrying groceries or playing with her grandbabies or keeping up on a hike. She has higher energy levels throughout the day. She's burning more calories even sitting still because she has this higher resting metabolic rate because she has more muscle, right? And muscle is more metabolically active. She has normal cholesterol levels. She has clean arteries, no plaque buildup. Maybe she doesn't have to take a lot of medications, especially the ones needed for blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar. And she can eat larger quantities of food and still maintain her weight with relative ease because her metabolism is working for her, not against her. So the reason why this happens is we know that muscle tissue burns more calories at rest than fat. So the more muscle that we have, it literally raises the number of calories that our body needs to just function. Now that visceral fat around our organs, it behaves almost like its own organ. It can release those inflammatory compounds that drive up our disease risk. It can be present even when someone looks a normal size. Chronic undereating or crash dieting, it teaches our body to hold on to fat and to break down muscle for fuel, which is why some people eat very little and they still struggle with their weight and maybe with their blood sugars or with their cholesterol numbers. Strength training and that adequate protein intake, they help to preserve and build the muscle that keeps our metabolism and our blood sugar and our hormones functioning well. Especially important, as we are in midlife because we naturally lose muscle with age. It's so important to kind of help to combat that with strength training. So what are the health markers that actually deserve our attention over just that weight on the scale? So, we go to the doctor. We pay attention to our cholesterol. We pay attention to our blood pressure. We pay attention to our blood sugars and our insulin sensitivity. A common thing they look at is waist circumference, which can be a marker of having more visceral fat rather than our total body weight. So when we notice that, our waistband is increasing, that can mean that, that we have more visceral fat, more fat around our organs. We look at our resting heart rate and our cardiovascular fitness. We look at grip strength and functional strength, which, just like how we're able to do things, how our balance, our stability, are we able to get up out of a chair easily? Are we losing the ability to hold a strong grip, to carry things and hold things? Research actually looks at those things and they tie them to longevity. So let's go back to woman A and woman B. Woman A, maybe she has lower energy levels. Maybe she gets winded easily when she's doing things. Maybe she's having to take multiple prescriptions for blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes, watching what she can and she can't do physically. Whereas woman B, same weight on the scale, is more energized. She's more strong, more capable, showing up fully for her life, her family, her adventures, without her body holding her back. So this isn't about a smaller body. It's about how we're living our life. Are we living the life that we want to be living? Now, this is not just about genetics or luck. It's largely about those daily habits that compound over years. How we are moving, how we are eating, whether we are doing that good strength training or resistance exercise to help keep our muscle mass higher, to prevent that loss of muscle mass. That muscle mass helps us to become more insulin sensitive, right? So just increasing muscle mass can really be an indicator of decreasing our risk of type 2 diabetes. Also, whether we are fueling or under-fueling our body. Woman B's outcome, it's available to you, to me, to everyone. It can start at any day, at any age, at any current weight or fitness level. It's not a matter of, sorry, woman A, she's made these choices. She can't, she can never change that, right? You can change it absolutely right now. So just remember, the number on the scale, it can't tell you about your muscle, your metabolism, your organ health, or how, you feel each day, how alive you feel in your own body. Two women can weigh exactly the same and be living in entirely different bodies with entirely different futures. So I challenge you to shift your focus this week away from that scale and that number on the scale, and towards just one small action that can help you build that woman B outcome. Maybe you just add in a strength training session. Maybe it's, it doesn't have to be 60 minutes long. Maybe it's 15, maybe it's 20. Maybe you make a nice protein-rich meal with some extra veggies this week. Add in a daily 5, 10, 15-minute walk every day. Or maybe it's just about having an honest conversation with your doctor about your labs. Because you know what? You can do anything you set your mind to. So if you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you would share this episode with a friend or a family member who might need to hear that the scale doesn't need to tell the whole story, and especially anyone who has been overly discouraged by that number on the scale today. Because remember, this is about progress over perfection. We're in this for the long haul, and this is your season of strength. Have a great day.